Thank you very much. I'm going to yield myself a few minutes. One of the things that Ms. Hubbard and Mr. Mebrani that gave me chills when I read it was the 2016 opinion of the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. You know, we're sitting around here acting not like it's not an inalienable right to be able to vote. And it's something they said that is chilling. And we can argue back and forth all we want. And they talked about the legislature down there in North Carolina. And this is a quote from the Fourth Circuit. These are federal judges. They said, before enacting that law, the legislature requested data on the use by race of a number of voting practices. Upon receipt of the race data, the General Assembly enacted legislation that restricted, come on, you talk about inalienable rights, that restricted voting and registration in 5 different ways, all of which disproportionately affected African Americans. They went on to say, this is the Fourth Circuit. I didn't say this. The federal court said it. Said in response to claims that intentional racial discrimination animated its action, the state offered only meager justifications. Although the new provisions target, this is what the court said, although the new provisions target African Americans with almost surgical precision, they constitute inept remedies for the problems assertedly justifying them, and in fact impose cures for problems that did not even exist. They went on to say, thus, the asserted justifications cannot and do not conceal the state's true motivation, end of quote. The reason why that quote means so much to me is that 1 year ago today, on my mother's dying bed at 92 years old, former sharecropper, her last words were, do not let them take our votes away from us. They had fought, she had fought and seen people harmed, beaten, trying to vote. Talk about inalienable rights. Voting is crucial, and I don't give a damn how you look at it. There are efforts to stop people from voting. That's not right. This is not Russia. This is the United States of America. And I will fight until the death to make sure every citizen, whether they're Green Party, whether they're Freedom Party, whether they're Democrat, whether they're Republican, whoever has that right to vote. Because it is the essence of our democracy. And we can play around and act like it's not, and guess what? I want to be clear that when they look back on this moment 200 years from now, that there are those of us who stood up, and they'll be able to say they stood up and said, we will defend, they defended the right to vote. Because you know what the problem is? For so many people, their rights are pulled away from them, then they got to put in laws to get them back. Pulled away from them. What does that mean? They cannot progress rapidly. They cannot progress with the rest of society. And all they're trying to do is trying to control their own destiny. I'd like to just hear your comments, Ms. Hobart, and Mr. Mabrani on the Fourth Circuit's opinion?
So we have seen since 2010 a number of states move efforts to shut down opportunities for people to vote. We've seen proof of citizenship laws, photo ID. We've seen early voting days repealed. We have seen states that have election day registration repealed, all in efforts to make it difficult for people to vote. A lot of this is focused on so-called in-person voter fraud, which there is a 0.0003% chance that that happens. It is a very rare thing. So what we have is all these measures that are trying to tap down on something that isn't happening out there, and the end result is we see many people purge from voter rolls and other things with the thought that they're going to be addressing something that isn't happening very frequently. And so that is a real challenge, and one that we've seen in states across the country. And the reforms in H.R. 1 to put in place early voting, to deal with voting machines and so that they're working and functioning, to add poll workers where we have a real shortage in poll workers so people aren't standing in line and leaving. All of these things are put in place to help create opportunities for people to vote. Election day registration is a perfect antidote to a purge so that you can show up on election day. If you see that there's a problem, then you can register to vote and vote on that day. And that's why it's so important to be looking at these reforms.